All right. Tonse, Andrew Carissa, Nitsi Kason. Hello, my name is Andrew Carissa. I am the founder and CEO of blueBell Village. We're an Indigenous organization dedicated to supporting the dementia problem and crisis that we're experiencing. Before we get into it, I want to give us a little bit of story. So how many of you guys have lived experiences with dementia or being a caregiver? That's a lot of us, right? Over half the room has been there. Well, I was a practicing engineer before this. I didn't expect to get into the space of health. I wanted nothing to do with it. But then my grandmother, who you see here, her name is Shirley Bell, and she had Alzheimer's. And my world changed, helping caring for my grandmother through dementia. Her name is Shirley Bell. Her favorite color was blue, and she loved gardening, hence blueBell. The company was named after my grandmother, for my grandmother, as a way for me to care for her. blueBell came across initially as wanting to build a dementia village. We've shifted and changed, and we made this digital tool that I couldn't have done by myself, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I have a great group of people working with me. Right now, I'm just highlighting Riley, who you'll see upstairs. So Riley is a software engineer, experience in building software tools to support people going through health problems. Then you have me. I'm a engineer from oil and gas. I got into this, like I said, to try and care for my grandmother. And then additionally, I'm wrapping up my doctorate right now, and I study Indigenous entrepreneurship in the health sector and increasing entrepreneurial participation for my Indigenous colleagues. So Riley and I both come at this in two different ways, and we both see the need, see the value, and we created blueBell as a way to support our loved ones. So getting into dementia itself, unfortunately, is a massive market. Right now in Canada, home care companies alone generate $7.1 billion annually. This comes from over 2,000 home care organizations. That's a significant amount of money that we Canadians are paying to care for people with dementia. Dementia, like we saw in the room here, majority of people have lived experience with it. 650,000 people right now in Canada have it. The number is going to 1.7 million by 2050. That number is significant. It's even more significant in our Indigenous population, where it's 2 and 3 times the general Canadian population. It is scary. So like I said, it's going to 1.7 million by 2050. Caregivers, like my family, chose to keep my grandmother at home being cared for by community longer. This obviously puts a burden on the family because now you're having full-time caregivers looking after your loved one. In the case of my family, we had my grandmother looked after by multiple people in my family. We had multiple home care and companion care organization comes in. So we've got all these people coming in. We're having to hire all these people to look after grandma. Significant amount of information. Significant amount of people have to learn about what grandma needs, what grandma wants, what my grandparents need. It gets educated. Who takes the brunt of this whole experience? My grandmother, the person who shouldn't be experiencing that. As caregivers, you've probably experienced the caregiving islands. The idea that as a caregiver, I care for grandma the way I know best. My aunt cares for grandma the way she knows best. The home care company cares about grandma the way they think is best. Everybody does it the way they think best, but nobody is really communicating. We're not building off of our collective knowledge. We're not trying to build and learn and adapt based on what other people are learning on. When you ask questions from my aunt to the physician, what happened when this care provider was looking after them? What happened before that? I don't know. I only know what I know. What does this cause? It causes the lack of ability for informed, evidence-based medical supports. So we have the Caregiving Bridge, which is our tool, blueBell Connect, which ensures that all caregivers are unified. There is a central network, so it doesn't matter if it's a home care company, companion care company, my family, my wife, me, my aunt, doesn't matter who. We all are aware of what everybody else is doing. and we're able to work together for what my grandmother needs. So that leads us into our solution. So we have blueBell Connect, which is our patent pending technology that we designed to do really two simple things. Firstly, ensure that the information, no matter who is caring for your loved one, is tracked. Doesn't matter if it's a companion care company, home care company, a family member, doesn't matter. We can all put that log in there and can be exported so that if the physician said, what happened 6 months ago when this thing was occurring, you can pull it up and get them that information. Additionally, we provide personalized recommendations and supports. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, something's going on. I don't have time to try and figure out how to care for grandma. I call a companion home care company, hey, can you help me with this thing? They will do what's clinically right, but they may not know what grandma really needs. So we can, through the tool, we provide you recommendations that are clinically valid by my team of medical practitioners, so neurologists, psychologists, nurse, dementia specialists. These folks clinically validate the recommendations. They're personally specific based on the person's individual needs, what they like, what they don't like, what their education is, what their volunteer history, what their life dynamics are, where they grew up. Then it's culturally specific. So being First Nations, for my Indigenous grandma that grew up on reserve, the approach and recommendations would be one way. But then my other grandmother who grew up to a white family that were politicians, it would be entirely different. If you grew up from a Zambian culture in Zambia, your supports would be specific to that. And that is what blueBell Connect was built on. The idea that let's, instead of fitting the box, fitting you into the box, let's fit the box around you. So here's an example I'll put for a 82-year-old individual with Lewy bodies. She's an Indigenous female, high school graduate, healthcare aide. This is some of the supports that it can provide. So if you're not necessarily aware of Indigenous culture, you may not necessarily know the nuance and the importance of some of these things, but they're really, really important. And if we're having somebody go in and care for them, they should be aware of this rather than say, we're going to apply what we think is right. Let's approach them where they are, how they need it. Our business operates on a service as a subscription as a service business model where we generate revenue based on subscriptions. Whether it's home care companies, companion care companies, or families, they sign up for a monthly rate to be able to use it to support their specific care needs. Our ask today is 3 things. They all kind of roll up under the same umbrella. If you're a caregiver and you think blueBell Connect can help support you, please reach out. We're glad to help and continue to make caregivers' lives easier. If you're part of a home or companion care company, reach out. Again, see if there's some way we can support you. They are tirelessly working to support our loved ones. And we always look for more dilutive and non-dilutive funding options. So if there's stuff available or you want to come partner in with us, please let us know. We exist to try and bring inclusive care supports to caregivers inside dementia and out. And before I close, I just want to acknowledge some of the wonderful partners that we've had the opportunity to work with over the handful of years. You may recognize some of these names and entities domestically and abroad. So I just want to acknowledge and thank these wonderful folks that have come alongside and supported us. And if you guys want to reach out, here's my contact information. The QR code goes up to, it was either the newsletter or the Connect sign up. I did it last night. I can't remember which now. I think it goes to the Connect sign up. But if you want to connect with me, feel free. I'm on LinkedIn way too often if you ask my wife. So feel free to reach out. I will be glad to connect with anyone. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Andy. And now I think we have time for 5 minutes of questions. So